So Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis closed beta happened, and you're probably wondering if it's even worth your time to play the full release. Well, luckily for you, I'm an extremely jaded PSO2 veteran, and here's my review of the game overall. So first, let me break down what exactly is good about New Genesis. The graphics in this game are such a large upgrade over the game's predecessor. The game's aesthetics and looks are just overall incredible. Seeing the sheen from my character's skin-tight bodysuit, the particle effects when you photon dash, and the general scenery in an open-world MMO are just absolutely breathtaking. Character customization in this game is also extremely crazy. The amount of options you get for your character allows you to create a completely unique look for yourself. No two characters in PSO2 NGS look alike. I honestly have no complaints with how they handled the graphics in New Genesis. Everything is beautiful and feels like a real AAA production, despite being a free-to-play MMO. Now, performance-wise, I am playing on a Ryzen 5 3600 with a RTX 2060 and 16 gigs of RAM. I managed to maintain a solid 144 FPS, however, I did get some dips in town when I had max detailed model display towards max. This most likely will be more optimized in the final release, however. So now, let's talk about the gameplay in New Genesis. The gameplay in New Genesis really is one of a kind. If you're looking for an action MMO that makes you feel like a god as you fly through the skies, do insane parkours, parry and delete bosses that tower over you like Shadow Colossus, then this game really is for you. The combat in this game is by far the most fluid in any MMO to date. I played countless of MMORPGs, but nothing really fills that high-octane action combat that New Genesis gives. There's just something golden about seeing a large group of yellow chickens, having everyone stand around and mourn, that you'll have to kill them for a trial and look amazing while doing it. Everything about the combat in this game is fun, pleasing to the eye, and most importantly unique. You really can't get any MMO to give you the same satisfaction the gameplay gives in this game. So now let's talk about the class choices in this game. The class choices in this game are extremely well varied and provide unique bonuses depending on which choices you make. You've got Hunter, who uses giant swords and roleplays like it's Monster Hunter. You got the Fighter, who makes you feel like a god as you duck and weave through blows like you're playing a game of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Gunner, who uses twin machine guns and shoots through the air as you acrobatically flip and show off your aerial superiority. Ranger, who uses a rifle, creating weak bullets but also dominating the mid-range of the game. Techer, who can heal and provide buffs to your team but more importantly has some insane bonks. And finally, Force, the magical long-range class who feels like a black mage from Final Fantasy, but even better. And the best part of all these class choices? You can combine every single one of them. That's right, the new Genesis subclass system allows you to create your own custom class by combining any of the above. It also allows you to use their weapons as well. So now, we're going to talk about something that I think is important to MMOs, accessibility. New Genesis, in comparison to its predecessor, is an insanely accessible game for both new and old players alike. The huge looming Goliath, known as the fixing from the previous game, is now gone. It's been replaced with a straightforward system involving collecting capsules and applying the stat bonuses to your equipment while also not losing previous augment slots. Class skills in this game are also extremely straightforward. They do not have any extra filler or noob traps like PSO2. No longer are the days of searching up guides on how to build up your skill tree. Now in New Genesis, you have a linear progression which allows you to easily pick up any class without worrying about optimal skill point distribution. Overall, if you're new to Phantasy Star Online 2 and you've been avoiding the game after hearing how bad a fixing or how punishing the class trees are, you will not have these issues entering New Genesis. So now, let's talk about the bad, or more importantly, what is potentially going to be an issue in the game's full release. Microtransactions have always been a hot topic in gaming. No one likes to play a game where there is a pay-to-win advantage or the oppressive feeling that you need to shove money into a game. Phantasy Star Online 2 does have microtransactions in various spots such as storage space, extra character slots, and most dreadfully, the gacha. Now here's the deal with PSO2 microtransactions. You don't actually need to do them at all. I've played the game from episode 2 in Japan and onwards and have invested literally nothing into the game until it came to North America. The gacha in this game, known as scratching, is primarily cosmetic based. There are some items in the scratch that provide stat bonuses for fixing, however these could be bought from other players through the personal shop system, so you don't need a gacha at all. Now, moving on to New Genesis, scratching does in fact exist, and during the closed beta, they wanted us to test the system to make sure it worked. A premium service subscription is also present in New Genesis as well. So based on those two existing in New Genesis, we can already assume that on full release, inventory slots, storage slots, and character slots will be available to purchase through microtransactions. This may be a deal breaker for some people, however, do keep in mind this is a free-to-play MMORPG, and you don't actually need any of these services. In current PSO2, both on global and JP, I still have the default 50 inventory slots while still maintaining endgame. So that leads us to Battle Power. Battle Power is a new system introduced in New Genesis. In other games, this is equivalent to your gear score. So why exactly is this a potential negative in my opinion? Well, frankly, from playing multiple MMOs at the higher end of the spectrum, players do not know how to use gear score effectively. This leads to arbitrary gatekeeping in content. Battle Power does, however, promote players to achieve a baseline of gear for content, which I do approve of. This whole system is a double-edged sword that may push some players away from the game depending on how the community handles it and how the game's natural progression affects it. Personally, if SEGA implements a catch-up system for new players to build up their battle power so they're not excluded from activities, I think this whole system will be okay. And that brings us to the final potential negative of New Genesis: potential content drought. From playing since the Episode 2 days of Phantasy Star Online 2, the PSO2 global release was basically a speed run of 8 years of PSO2 content. Because of the rapid release of content in global, players may go into NGS with the wrong idea that NGS will be receiving game-changing updates every few months. Now, personally for me, I believe that New Genesis will be updated at a slower pace than PSO2 Global. This is due to the simultaneous updates to both JP and Global's version, just like Final Fantasy XIV. So during these times of content drought, I'd recommend that you just don't stress over the game not receiving content, but take a break and come back, play the game like it's seasonal. When you see items you want, come back to NGS, obtain those items, and when you feel satisfied, keep playing the game or take a break. Remember, at the end of the day, gaming is meant to be fun, not stressful or rage-inducing. So after all of that, you're probably wondering if this game is actually worth your time. In my personal opinion, I highly recommend you to try Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis. The game is free to play, so you're losing nothing by trying it out. The full release of this game will be available on Xbox, the Microsoft Store, Steam, and Epic Games sometime in June 2021. There's really nothing to lose out by trying the game, and if you want to play, hit me up. I'll be on Ship 2 on release. So that concludes this video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this content, please like, comment, subscribe. Tell me about your thoughts about New Genesis down below, and if you're thinking about trying it. I also have a Twitter now, which you can follow at EveryDairy. I'm still new to this YouTube stuff and Twitter stuff, so I apologize in advance if I'm late to replying to you. Thank you so much for viewing this video. This is Casual Gamer Corvus from EveryDairy, and I'll see you next time.